New poll, which was conducted by SSRS, finds Trump is leading Biden, who has ample work to do with his base and with independent voters who are breaking to his GOP. New poll, which was conducted by SSRS, finds Trump is leading Biden, who has ample work to do with his base and with independent voters who are breaking to his GOP rival. In a head-to-head race, 49% of voters say they'd pick Trump for president, compared to 43% for Biden. That's a 9-point Trump advantage with independent voters. And add in third-party candidates, and Trump's lead jumps even more. He has 42% to Biden's 33%, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gets 16% of the vote.
There will be no government left. There will be no rights left. You'll live under theocracy. You'll end up with Christian nationalism. But that's all right, you little fucking 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues that I care about.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Shout out to Bass Records. Hey, yo, Hunter. Roll up another one of them congressional blunts, brother. He was gonna get his laptop fixed, but Hunter got high. He wasn't gonna show all them dick pics, but Hunter got high. He should've let Hillary bleach his whole hard drive. Yeah, hey, Hunter got high. Hunter got high. Hunter got high.
Indeed he did, John. He absolutely did.
What a great remix to Got High, and I'm not sure that there's a subject matter expert better than Hunter to have the song rewritten about him directly. It's pretty bad when Afroman rewrites Because I Got High in Your Name. Yeah. I mean, it says everything that you need to about Hunter Biden. Welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned. This is Unsanctioned America. Yes, we did skip Unsanctioned Florida this past week. We're going to have a double episode tomorrow. Yeah. So that's going to be a great show. It's going to have a bunch of content. Stick around for that tomorrow.
Ton to unpack there.
A lot to unpack. So the fun show tomorrow for Unsanctioned Florida. Well, this is episode 227. Let me read these headlines, and then we are going to say our prayer and get into the show. So yes, as you saw, Carville, still loony, but a little bit older. Afroman rewrites 2001 hit. We just saw that. D8 coming up. DA Bragg's fatal error. Cohen sells himself cheap, sinking the case against Trump. Biden becomes a historical president, which has been said about him before. Yeah. White House, not for the reason you think. No. White House denies plot to boot deadweight KJP. Finally, a smart decision by the Biden administration. Your face says it all. We'll talk about that story. Professional protest consultant. What is that? We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Colombia. Yeah, Colombia liberals eat each other. Is that a story about cannibals? Yeah, we all know that liberals love to eat each other. God forbid you disagree with the person next to you. You have to kill them. What's next? Libs say, oh, no, not there yet. Okay, presidential candidate gets arrested. Probably not the one you're thinking about. No. Education is under attack. And this is an actual serious attack, serious story. Liberals say kill babies, not puppies. And then California's Proposition 47 gets 1 million signatures and more on this episode of Unsanctioned America. So here we go. Let's say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right back into the show. Lord, we are truly grateful that we can come to you every week, make some jokes about our situation that we're in, but we do know that this situation is very serious. The state of our nation is serious. This is a country that has no equal. This is a country where people come to live free and to have dreams and be able to achieve those dreams. And it's unlike any other country in the world by far. There's nothing that comes close to it. We've been watching countries that we thought were free like ours, Australia, the UK, just completely clamp down on the freedoms of their citizens. God forbid we allow that to happen in our country. So it's time for American citizens to rise up and make sure that we preserve the liberty that we enjoy for future generations. So we pray that you continue to get people, rise people, awaken them, and inspire them to take part in this great American democracy and support our constitutional republic. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's get into the show.
Into the news.
What do we got?
News. Now, we don't spend a lot of time on the Trump trials, John, and there's a reason, and it's because...
Fake news?
It's fake news. It's BS. We all know it. We know that these trials are trumped up. No pun intended or pun intended.
Or pun intended.
Yeah, to go after the president because he's leading in the polls. He's absolutely wanted back 100% by the people. But, sometimes we have to highlight some of the things that are going on in these cases and why they're so flawed. Like this, John. DA Bragg, he made a fatal error while revealing underlying crime in hush money case, and the Trump attorneys must move to dismiss this case right now, John. There he is, if you forgot what he looked like. But prosecutors in New York have revealed what the other crime is that Donald Trump was allegedly trying to conceal when he was falsifying business records, and they claim it was to unlawfully promote his candidacy. The fatal error is that the New York statute that they cite only applies to elections within the state of New York and not federal elections. Trump was running for the federal office of President of the United States and not a state office, and therefore the premise of what the prosecution is trying to prove as the second crime used to get around the statute of limitations issue and to elevate this business records case to a felony must fail. Prosecutors also cannot use a federal law as the second crime, and additionally, the FEC, Federal Election Commission, declined on 2 occasions to prosecute the claim against Trump that the alleged hush money payment was in fact a federal violation. So, there's one of those flaws, John, right there. In this case, Bragg and Coangelo, in an exercise of their legal analysis of the law, maintained that Trump, Cohen, and Pecker conspired to get Trump elected to President of the United States. This is the basis for the elevation of charges. And it's a joke, John. It's an absolute, complete joke.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of knows that this is it is a joke. That's exactly what it is. It's a fake investigation. It's not an investigation, but a fake trial based on a fake investigation by a fake prosecutor who's not prosecuting crime in New York, but he's prosecuting Donald Trump because he doesn't want him to win the election. And I think at some point in the near future, we're going to find out that it's basically the party. I think that somehow this is derived by politicians. And although Alvin Bragg is a politician, it's not necessarily in the interest of justice. This is a political action, and it will become clear. And I think that people who have participated in this should be prosecuted themselves. I don't believe in amnesty or immunity for these people who basically are politically prosecuting, candidates. And we've seen people misuse, even here locally, we've seen people misuse the government.
Yeah,
and when
absolutely.
they do, there's a tremendous amount of harm from it, and I hope that they do get prosecuted and brought to justice.
Yeah. Can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah. No
Speaking
kidding.
of Cohen, John.
Yeah.
Michael Cohen, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't know this. He has TikTok videos, and he's fundraising from these TikTok videos, and it stunned some legal observers. They're saying that he may have torpedoed the case against Trump. And, if you forgot what he looked like, here he is, and that's a screenshot from one of his TikToks. Michael Cohen, who is supposed to be a star witness in the New York versus Trump trial, might have torpedoed the case before taking the stand by ranting about it on TikTok while fundraising, according to legal observers. It is a major problem for prosecutors. It is not a problem for Cohen's credibility because he has none. He is a convicted perjurer and fraudster whose current defense of his fraud convictions is that he wasn't telling the truth when he pled guilty. This is from former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andrew McCarthy. I don't think you could find a better quote about Michael Cohen right there, but
Yeah.
it's 100% facts. ABC News published an article Sunday declaring Cohen's actions could be a problem, pointing out that Cohen has chimed in on former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker's testimony, has regularly railed against Trump, has insisted the jury isn't bored, and can profit when followers shower him with gifts. TikTok allows viewers to donate gifts as they watch users' live streams, which can then be converted into money or virtual items. I didn't know that. Michael Avenatti, the one-time most dangerous enemy of Trump, who liberals hoped would bring down his presidency, believes Cohen might have botched the whole case. Michael Cohen, through his narcissism and his ego, may have just torpedoed this case against Trump. And this is what Avenatti told Fox News Digital from prison. And I think, when your star witness is a known liar and perjurer like Michael Cohen, how can you expect to win anything with that guy?
Well, he's not just a liar and a perjurer on this case. He's the star witness, right?
Yeah.
It's like having it's like having a criminal be the star witness against another criminal. There's not a lot of credibility there.
Yeah.
So here he is. When Michael Avenatti is taking a dump on you for being a bad witness or a bad attorney or a bad at this legal game, Michael Avenatti, of all people, who suffered a jail there, he's in jail, took a jail sentence.
Yeah,
he
told Fox News Digital that from federal prison. So
yeah, it's Michael Cohen's a joke, and he's a sad story. And for him to be the star witness against a presidential candidate just tells you everything that you need to know. You can't get any real people. Look at the people who accuse him of rape, right? The lady who painted the rocks in her backyard, right? And then you have this guy, Michael Cohen, who is a convicted perjurer, right? It can't get any worse. What are you going to have next? They're going to bring somebody in an alien costume saying that he did some kind of crazy thing in outer space. It makes no sense. These are very shallow cases. They don't have a lot of credence and they don't have a lot of credibility, and nobody's falling for it.
No.
And it's certainly not hurting him in his election. There's nothing that's going to overrule. This is what they're trying to win an election, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing that's going to overrule Joe Biden's economy.
Yeah.
It's certainly not something that's going to happen in the court against Trump. No one cares. No one cares about your fake cases against Trump. And even if they were real cases, nobody cares. Why? Because a gallon of milk is nearly impossible. You have to get it on credit.
Yeah.
When you have to put eggs and milk and bread on credit to feed your kids, nobody's going to care about your reasons for not liking Trump. Yeah. I bet you everyone would want to see some mean tweets right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
John.
It's ridiculous.
I think and people by now should realize that this is ridiculous, that all these cases are ridiculous. When your star witness is Michael Cohen, and then you get a look at E. Jean Carroll and her history and the way she lives her life. Come on. It couldn't get any more ridiculous than that.
Yeah, it's a sham. It's a sham. And Trump has, he made it very clear, and he's a very compelling speaker and a very compelling complainer, right? So he complains about these attacks that he's getting, and it's a very compelling, he's the victim. Even though he doesn't appear to victim, he doesn't shy away. He's not sad and crying about it. He's a fighter, and people like that. Yeah. And so he's fighting against this injustice, and people are understanding that this is an injustice against him just because it's not fair. Nobody cares about the details, right? Nobody watches. This is not O.J. Simpson trial. Right? So it's not like it's super compelling news or they don't have this smoking gun or they don't have a glove. They don't have none of that stuff.
They don't have nothing.
So, there's nothing fun about watching it.
They changed the laws to go after him.
They changed laws to go after him. They extended the statute of limitations stuff, and it's a sham, and the Americans aren't falling for it.
And, there's signs like this, John, that people do realize that. Gallup did a poll, and Biden is the worst president in polling history, John. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can believe it. I think I voted in this poll.
He looks like he can't believe it right there, but...
He has no idea what's going on in that picture.
He rates as the least popular president in the 70-year history of the data. According to Gallup's latest poll results, released this weekend, trumping the previously lowest rated presidencies of Jimmy Carter, George H.W. Bush, and Richard Nixon. With about 6 months remaining before Election Day, Biden stands in a weaker position than any other prior incumbent and thus faces a taller task than they did in getting reelected, Gallup's Jeffrey Jones wrote in his bottom line analysis. And I think we all kind of know that. The poll reviewed the historical 13th quarter approval ratings, first quarter of the first 4-year term of each presidency since 1956, finding Biden's first term average approval rating of 38.7% to be the lowest of all the first terms. Yeah.
Man, and it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. He's not doing a better job. Just when you think he can't be bad enough, what does he do, right? He bans crosses from Easter. On Easter, on the day of we celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, he actually makes it Trans Day. I mean, you can't get any worse. And this isn't him. He doesn't care. Number one, when you talk about bigots, right? Democrats love to call people bigots. This is the chief bigot right here. Wow. He has been if you look at everything that he has said and done throughout his career, I would assume that he's the biggest racist in D.C. right now.
Yeah.
Right? And we all know that elitist liberals are the biggest racists in the country. There's no more elite. When you can lie and you can plagiarize your way and still get presidency, obviously you're an elitist liberal, right? Yeah. So, and he was best friends with a bunch of racists from the past, and his wife likes to call Hispanics tacos. I mean, I'm not sure that there's a better case for a racist than the Biden family.
John, I'm going to have to see if we can find the highlight reel of Joe Biden's racism. I know it's out there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I know it's out there.
That is a great idea. Yeah, and if not, we can make one.
Yeah.
Right? We need to make one.
Absolutely. It's not that hard to do. I mean,
yeah, we need to make one because
not that hard to find.
You're not going to find anything Trump saying anything racist, right? But you're going to find 100 different snippets of Biden being a racist, right?
Absolutely.
What was he saying that you
could
black
7-Eleven store with a slight Indian accent.
Yep, and poor kids are just as good as white kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, he's this guy is bad. Guy's bad. It's not just senile. No. He allows it to escape because he's senile. But even when he wasn't senile, he was still a racist, right?
Yeah,
we're going to have to put that together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so no kidding. He's the worst president in the world. We all know that. Yeah. That's not even for consideration. Nobody comes close.
I'm glad they put these things out, though, John, to wake up other people that are asleep right now or don't have any idea or don't know.
I'd like
to
see
throw
a poll
it in the face of liberals who feel good about Joe Biden, who are promoting him, saying that, we need to reelect Joe Biden.
I don't meet that many people. I don't meet that many. Okay, so I meet. Okay, let me preface this by saying, I'm not counting crazy people. People who have crazy hair, who look crazed. The minute that you see them, and we're going to talk about this later, but the minute that you see them, you know this guy voted for Biden or this voted for Biden. Okay, I'm not talking about those people. All normal people, you can't find anybody that's really excited about Biden's thing. And I'm not counting what's her name, Nikki Fried Brain as a normal person. All right, I'm talking about normal people, real normal people.
Right.
Everybody knows he's the worst.
Yeah, or at least you should. So on the heels of this poll, John, the White House is denying a secret plot to oust Karine Jean-Pierre. And that's the bad news is this poll, John, that he's facing. Karine's been there for quite a long time. They usually trade them out by now.
You can't get rid of her, though, because she's black and gay.
Yeah.
Right? You can't get rid of her. This is a DEI president. You can't get rid of the black and gay lady, right? I'm not assuming her gender.
That's the truth, though.
I'm just saying you can't get rid of her, right? Because God forbid, he can't afford to lose any more black voters.
No.
So now you're going to get rid of the one black lady, right? Okay, not the other black lady, right, who's half Indian, half black, but you're going to get rid of this black lady. Of course, they're going to be up in arms.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't do anything, right? She's also gay. You're already suffering with the gay, right? The gay people who love Palestine, you're going to lose them. You can't afford to lose them anymore.
They had to get rid of the guy with the dress.
You got to get rid of the guy with the you got to hire another guy with a dress.
Yeah.
You know what? That's who they would replace her with. A black guy who wears lipstick and a dress.
Yeah.
Solve your problem. I solved this problem. I solved Biden's problem. Right? The Biden administration problem. All you got to do is get a black guy with a dress to replace her.
You know,
the problem is that she's terrible, and she's one of the reasons that he's suffering so much.
I don't know why they'd want to keep her around because she never answers a question. You know, she never ever answers.
I mean, she's horrendous at her job. She would have gotten fired in the real world. She would have been fired a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Deputy White House Press Secretary Andrew Bates forcefully rejected claims from multiple sources with knowledge of the plans, which included longtime Biden senior advisor Anita Dunn, supported by White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, recruiting prominent outside Democrats to urge Jean-Pierre to voluntarily make her exit. Not only are these claims wildly false, but the reality is the polar opposite.
We love her.
Carini was never approached by anyone with such a message.
We would never would we.
She spends 4 hours preparing every day. Preparing for what? She never answers a question.
No, she has no idea what's going on. She has to read. That's one of the complaints that they have is that she reads directly from her book.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when it was, oh my gosh, Huckabee Sanders, man.
Yeah.
She was the best.
Yeah.
She opened that book, and you don't even know. She didn't even look at it again. She was just like, boom, 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 engaging right away with every reporter, answering questions. And then Trump would come out, same thing. Like it was, man, that's great communication skills that she had. She was absolutely amazing. And even the next one, Trump's people were really good.
Yeah.
Even her second string guy, I forget his name, but he's absolutely unrememberable. He's terrible. He's terrible. He makes terrible facial expressions.
Yeah.
He has terrible gestures. Everything about that guy is horrendous. You know,
He looks like one of the characters on The Office.
Yeah, yeah, and he's as about effective as that.
Yeah.
So it's just, but so is she, right?
Yeah.
This is really a sitcom. That's the problem with the Biden administration is that we have a sitcom actually taking possession of the White House, and they're all acting as if it was a sitcom because you couldn't write it any worse.
Yeah, you'll see the Biden White House administration turned into a HBO comedy in about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah,
Maybe sooner because
what a great story. I'm copywriting that idea.
You got to write it, John.
Yeah.
You got to write it.
That's my IP.
So they're all claiming they didn't do this. All right. Basically, according to the Post sources, though, Jean-Pierre's bosses were unhappy with her habit of reading prepared answers directly from her binder, which they viewed as falling short of making an adequate case for President Biden as he prepared to launch his re-election campaign. One of the sources told the Post that the effort included having outside people Jean-Pierre knew and trusted convince her it was the right time to move along and that it would make sense for her career to leave at around the same tenure as previous secretaries, about 1.5 years. So
she should have left 1.5 years ago. She should have left right after she came. She should have went in one door and out the other.
Yeah.
This is, of course, they want her to leave. She's terrible at her job. We already said it. She reads from the book. They don't like her. She's not a great personality. She's not great with the cameras. She's not, she's bad.
Yeah.
She's terrible.
She's terrible. She is absolutely terrible.
You know, it would be the only smart thing that the Biden administration has done would be to get rid of her.
Yeah.
But they can't.
No.
You can't.
Who was
DI
before her? Was it Jen Psaki was before her?
Yes, Jen Psaki. She was terrible too.
Yeah.
Terrible. She was terrible. Not as bad as her, but remember, she would not answer questions either.
No.
But she didn't have to look at a book and say, "I'm going to come back. I'll circle back." Right? Yeah. Like even though Jen Psaki was famous for that kind of thing, she had her own sayings. But
and MSNBC gave her a show.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and maybe Carini, maybe you should look at that too, because
they should go do a show together. They should go do a show together where they spend an hour not answering any questions.
Yeah, when they bring the Democrats on, they give them puffball questions, and then
it's terrible.
Agree with them the whole time. So right up their alley. All right, so John, did you know that AI can predict political orientations from blank faces?
Who can't? Who can't? Are you telling me that you don't know like somebody's a Biden voter when you see them?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, for Republican voters, right, they have to be wearing like a MAGA hat, or they're wearing like maybe some kind of like what is it, Grunt Styles T-shirt or something, and then you assume this guy's probably right-leaning.
Yeah, there are definitely clues.
There's clues, but all you got to do is look at the crazed faces of liberals to see that they're like when they have one eye up here and one eye down here. It's like that person is certainly on medication.
Multiple piercings all over their face.
Yeah, they definitely voted for Biden.
Yeah. So they're saying that now that AI. And this is a recent study published in the Journal of American Psychologists, says an algorithm's ability to accurately guess one's political views is on par with how well job interviews predict job success, or alcohol drives aggressiveness. All right. Lead author Michael Kosinski told Fox News Digital that 591 participants filled out a political orientation questionnaire before the AI captured what he described as a numerical fingerprint of their faces and compared them to a database of their responses to predict their views. Very interesting. So I think that people don't realize how much they expose by simply putting a picture out there, said Kosinski, an associate professor of organizational behavior at Stanford University's Graduate School of Business. We know that people's sexual orientation, political orientation, religious views should be protected. It used to be different. In the past, you could enter anybody's Facebook account and see, for example, their political views, the likes, and the pages they follow. But many years ago, Facebook closed this because it was clear for policymakers and Facebook and journalists that it is just not acceptable. It's too dangerous, he continued.
Too dangerous.
Too dangerous.
It's not too dangerous to limit information of the truth or dissemination of the truth, but it's certainly too dangerous to be able to reach your audience that you want to reach.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think you can go on anybody's Facebook, and if you look at the clues, you look at the things that someone does, someone says.
Yeah, you can tell.
Figure it out.
Absolutely, you can tell.
I don't know how the computer couldn't figure it out, but I guess they can. So there you go.
Yeah, but just by looking at your eyes, I'm telling you. Hair color, almost immediately, right? This person's a nut job. The crazy piercings all over, somebody who makes themselves look like the lizard. Probably Biden voter. Somebody like. I was gonna go too far. I held myself back, but Yeah. So we know who the crazies are.
Yeah, and you know who they are too. You can just see it for yourself. Anyway, John, before we go across the nation, we're going to listen to this important message from President Trump.
Donald Trump's surprise visit to a construction site. Hundreds of cheering union members turned out to meet the former president. It was quite a scene.
These are hardworking New Yorkers, union members who have been working on this big construction site here in Midtown Manhattan near Trump Tower.
USA! I think these maybe were Democrats, but for me, they're a Republican. We built a lot of great buildings in the city with these people, and they've given me great support. They're very, very talented people. They don't get the credit for it. They have very few people can do what they do.
These union workers who are here to talk to the president are paying the price of failed economic policies currently in the country.
And you heard in New York City chants of "We want Trump."
We want Trump. We want Trump.
A lot of people are talking about how unusual it is to see so many Trump supporters in Manhattan at 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Does that surprise you?
No, absolutely not.
President Trump is leading Joe Biden 3-1 on my presidential poll out of my 9,000 members.
Trump's turn again.
What's your message to Joe Biden?
You. We're a very patriotic group, and we love our country, and we want the best for America.
All right, John. So we are back, and let's keep it in New York City. You see the tide is turning in New York City. You see the construction workers, the union guys, they are 100% behind Trump. And things are changing there. But, we have these, every election year, we have these protests that rise up. We had the Occupy movement. We had the Black Lives Matter movement. Now we have the pro-Palestine movement. But the NYPD is all over it, and they took down some of those protesters at Columbia University. And they released a video showing a professional protest consultant at Columbia University. The video released by NYPD shows 63-year-old Lisa Fithian, who has a long history of participating in protests like Occupy Wall Street. And we have a video explaining about these protests and what's going on here, John. Here it is.
Well, some of the people involved are being paid money. I had a piece in the Wall Street Journal recently about how they're advertising for fellows to be paid $3,000 for 3 months of eight hours a week of work on campuses. And some of the people who've been involved quite prominently in these protests have been paid fellows with hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Soros Open Society Foundation and the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. So there's big money behind these protests. It's the same crowds at the Black Lives Matter protests, at the anti-Trump protests. Go back to the anti-Persian Gulf War protests under George H.W. Bush, the anti-Iraq War protests under George W. Bush. It's the same people out protesting. I've seen them. And so they just like to protest. Like you and I go out and play sports on the weekend or go to religious service. This is an activity for these people. And, you know, until the revolution is accomplished, they're not going to stop, or else until they're in jail. It's a mix. It's certainly the same tactics we're seeing on campuses around the country, same slogans, same tents, like
same signage
appearing on the same day. Yeah, absolutely. Very well coordinated. And they have there's Google Drives putting out talking points weekly. They have a meeting, a Monday evening meeting to coordinate around the country. The ads for these fellows say you have to be available at this time every week to come meet and plan what the activities are.
Wow. That's insane.
I mean, but is this something that we didn't know? Again, this is something that we knew, we saw. People kept getting arrested in different protests, right? You were Antifa and you were Black Lives Matter. Yeah. You know, so, and of course, do they have consultants? It's the people who arrange. These aren't consultants. They're coordinators of chaos is what they are. And they're the ones that arrange for the bricks from Antifa and Black Lives Matter to be set on the streets so that the people could throw the bricks through building windows. I mean, that person should be arrested. We need to make it more expensive for people to participate in these illegitimate forms of protest, these paid protests, than it is beneficial for them financially. And right now, if let's say you're one of these crazy people that has 14 steel bars through your nose and you can't get a real job, well, this is a job that you take. You're happy to do it, right? You're happy to be this agitator on a college campus, which you probably don't have good enough grades to get into, and you're going to throw a brick building through a window, or you're going to sleep on the street there for your $15 an hour paid for by George Soros. Yeah. And so we need to make it more expensive for them to do that than it's worth it. And until we do, we're always going to have professional protesters. And that's not a constitutional privilege, right? No. You're changing it. That's no longer a constitutional privilege. The constitutional privilege is for you to be able to peacefully protest. Throwing bricks through windows is no longer peaceful protest.
No. And don't we have laws on the books right now that, if you are one of these people that starts these riots, these professional agitators, aren't there laws on the books that, like, they can be arrested?
I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, I think that you can be arrested. There's cases, depending on what they're doing, that would allow for them to be arrested.
Yeah, because absolutely this should not be allowed. I mean, if you are identified as a professional protester or protester consultant, the police should arrest you right away. I mean, just be done with this. We cannot allow this to continue every election year, that we have to go through this and see these
what happens when Trump wins?
Up.
Yeah, absolutely. What happens when Trump wins?
Yeah, they're going to do the same.
They're going to destroy the country. They're going to destroy the country, and only in Florida are they going to suffer a consequence. In California, they're going to destroy their country. In Detroit, they're going to try to destroy it, but you won't even recognize that there's a difference because the entire city already looks like crap. So I mean, I don't know. It's like in some places this is a real threat, right? In some places throughout the country, it's a real threat that these protests are going to go crazy and they're going to set things on fire. And in some places, you may not notice that they're protesting at all. In California, I mean, people could start defecating in the street, and you're not going to notice that it's a protest.
I mean, there's definitely places you can count on these things happening. Washington State, California. It looks like the New York State, though, at least the NYPD are taking a stand against this stuff. So kudos to them,
Well, let's hope that they expand it. Not only New York, but every city and state needs to prevent chaos. Organized chaos. Yeah. This is not protesting.
Yeah. What happened during Trump's years was outrageous. All the crap that went on and got away with.
Setting buildings.
Then they went after the J6ers, and put them in jail.
Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable. But, as this is going on at Columbia University, John, the policy-making Senate of Columbia University voted for a resolution calling to investigate the school's leadership. They voted 62-14 to investigate that leadership, John. And here's a picture from the protests at Columbia University. That does not look like America to me, John. And I'm sorry, it doesn't. It looks like we are looking at Iran or Iraq or somewhere in the Middle East. We are not looking at the United States of America. But anyway, the Columbia University Senate in New York voted in favor of a resolution calling for an investigation into the school's leadership amid anti-Israel protests that have taken place on campus for over a week. The resolution alleges Columbia President Manoush Shafik, who has been on the job less than a year, violated established protocols when she authorized the New York City Police Department to enter the campus and arrest protesters last week. The University Senate does not have the authority to remove Shafik, as it is the university's policy-making body, which is made up of students, faculty, and administrators. Isn't that crazy, John? She called in the police to bring order back to the campus, and they want to get rid of her.
Literally today, I was just overseeing expulsions as a hearing officer, and sometimes these kids are out of control. I think it was a general consensus, liberals and conservatives alike. We understand in the education world that these kids are out of control, right? And the parents are siding with their kids. It doesn't matter. Like, this kid's about to be expelled for punching a teacher and then smoking a joint and putting it out on the teacher's hand or something. It can be crazy. That didn't happen. I'm making it up. But the point is, it can be something crazy like that. And the parent's still saying, but my little Johnny, he only did it because he was frustrated because he had to be in uniform policy. And it's like, wake up. You want to slap the parent and the kid, right? And this is what it's like. I mean, these college kids have grown up in a world of participation trophies and just constant reinforcement of their negative behavior. And none of them have gotten a smack. And it just, they need to. At some point, these society in general in this generation need a smack. What they don't need is further affirmation that they're wonderful people and they're doing great things just because they get out of bed in the morning. We need to come back to a society that you are applauded for the things that you do that are good, and then you are shunned for the negative things that you do. Absolutely. And if you can't get it, if we can't have that society, then, I think the founding fathers said it, that, this country is made for people with morals, right? Yeah. It's not made for people without morals because it won't sustain itself. So clearly we're having we're having that tension right now.
Yeah. And I get it. A parent loves their kids, of course.
Yeah,
but
I love my kids.
At the same time, you have to recognize when your kid is doing wrong, when they are bad, and you have to correct that behavior. And if you don't, you're going to end up with a generation of kids like we have right now that don't respect law and order, that think they deserve everything and don't have to earn anything. And it's a joke. It's
You're
sad,
right. You're right. I mean, I love my kids, but at the same time, I hold my kids to a higher standard. I hold my kids to a standard period. I have expectations for my kids, and I'm making sure that they do their work, and I'm making sure that they, go to bed on time, and I'm, constantly on top of my kids. I don't allow my kids to raise themselves. It's my job to raise my child.
And when they do wrong, you correct it.
When they do wrong, they correct it. That's my older son. I was all over him. I'm sure that my son complains that, back then I was a monster compared to how I am now, a sweetheart with my younger kids, with the last ones. But, here's the thing. It was about all caring, and I was like super, I'm far more relaxed now. But you ask my daughter, I'm a tough dad. I mean, and we need to get tough with our kids again.
Absolutely.
They need to have a little bit of fear, along with respect for parents. And it's not just you as a parent. You're not their friend, right? It's not your job to be their friend. That's a byproduct of being a good parent.
Yeah, you want to have a friendly relationship with your kids, but you don't want to classify yourself as their friend.
No, you're their parent.
Yeah.
You're a parent. That's your job. Your job is to be a parent. And that's your job to whole society, not just to them. Yeah. Your job to society is to be a parent.
There's nothing that irks me more than when I see a kid misbehaving out in public and the parent is just oblivious, doesn't do
Oblivious,
anything
as I was going to say the same thing. Not ignoring it, oblivious to it. They're acting oblivious to it. I agree.
John, when we have leaders like the one we're about to talk about, how can you expect kids to do the right thing? Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein is among 100 arrested protesting at Washington University, John. They arrested Stein, her campaign manager, and her deputy campaign manager. And here's the video. She is the silver-haired one in this video.
Hold the line now! Hold the line!
Hold the line for Palestine. There you go.
You get that.
These cries are always so hilarious. These cops are so tender really when it comes to it. They're like pushing and shoving.
Yeah.
But man, I remember when I was in the army and I was stationed in Italy, they had a national police force called the Carabinieri, right? And they walked around with berets and they were always like the biggest, toughest cops. And if you got out of line this much, it would be like a club, a six pack of billy clubs, over your head, over and over. They didn't mess around, and the minute that you knew that they knew that you were an American soldier, it was even tougher. You better be pretty respectful because you knew that beating was coming, right? Yeah. These guys, you would never be allowed to do this in another country. They would beat you up so bad. It's a joke, and they're being super tender. They're being nice and professional. And of course, they're doing their job, but they're not hurting people. And the cries of these liberals, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" It's just, come on, it's so.
I would not be mad if they threw that tear gas can out there. And
No,
I'll tell you
I
something,
wouldn't either.
John. They're being arrested for a reason. All right,
Yeah.
Absolutely, you have the right to protest in the United States of America. But you have to follow the law while you do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not following the law, you are going to get arrested. And that's what happened to Jill Stein. But I imagine she wanted to get arrested because no one cares about her. No one cares about her campaign.
No, she probably got arrested because nobody cares about her.
No one's paying attention to her, but now she's in the news. So there you go,
Yeah.
But
this was a political stunt. I guarantee you that prior to her getting in that line, she gave out her business card to each one of these cops. She told her photographer, be ready for this shot, okay? Get this shot. I'm to hold on to the bike like this. She's a 90-year-old lady. I'm to hold on to the bike like this, and they're going to push on me and, whatever. And she still handled that bike better than Joe Biden handles a bike. So, I don't know what to say. But certainly she looks in much better shape than Joe Biden.
Yes.
Nonetheless, she's completely irrelevant, and the whole reason she got arrested is for the sake and benefit of her campaign.
Yeah.
So sorry. I wanted to say a quick shout out to Frank. Frank, thank you for sharing. Tony, thank you for joining us as always.
Absolutely. And, that's the thing, John. These people, they don't peacefully protest. They push the limits of it. And, that's why they get arrested. That's why this stuff happens.
And you know what? A good billy club across the forehead once in a while never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I say that jokingly, but of course, it may be a good idea for some of these kids because they need to have some respect for the police.
Yeah.
They need to have a respect for the things that don't belong to them.
Yeah.
So, a billy club across the forehead is a very effective lesson maker.
Yeah, I would.
It's a curriculum I can believe in.
If you don't learn your lesson from that,
if you don't learn your lesson, then I think it's a good way to teach a lesson sometimes.
Yeah. So we usually save Florida stories for the Florida show. But this is one Florida story that's going to make it on the America show, and we want to talk about it because this was on the original Unsanctioned show. Before we split the shows, we talked about this incident that happened, and it's back in the news again. This student Now, it says in the headline, and shame on you, Fox, for saying accused of, all right? He absolutely did this, all right? This student viciously beat a teacher's aide in this viral video.
Yeah.
Now he's blaming the school in a new lawsuit. The lawsuit claims the school failed to make interventions to address his bad behavior in the lead up to the attack. Now, if you haven't seen the teacher's aide since we had that story, and like I said, that was on the original Unsanctioned show, here is a little bit what happened after that video.
Joan Nadich says everything is different now. This is the first time she's talking about the attack on camera. She opened up to me about it, and even though it's been months since she was attacked, today I learned the pain did not end that day.
I was attacked on February 21st, and I feel like I'm just constantly being attacked.
This is Joan Nadich earlier this year with her family.
Everybody that knows me or knew me then knows that I'm a totally different person now.
Just days after she snapped that photo, she says,
my whole life was just turned upside down.
And it was all caught on surveillance. Nadich was working as a teacher's aide at Matanzas High School when she was brutally attacked by a student. She still can't bring herself to watch the video. You have not seen the video?
No.
Is that something you think you could ever bring yourself to?
Never. No.
Nadich was left unconscious. She suffered 5 broken ribs, a severe concussion, and loss of hearing in her right ear. To this day, she has some neurological issues doctors haven't been able to diagnose.
Unfortunately, a lot of my injuries that are not visible, I'm going to have for the rest of my life.
The attack leaves her with physical, mental, and financial struggles. She credits a GoFundMe for helping her stay afloat financially until her workers' compensation claim is resolved.
This has been nonstop since February.
The student who attacked her, Brendan Deppa, pleaded no contest.
Yeah, he did, John. And you know, we're not going to show the whole video. We did show it on the original Unsanctioned, the video of the beatdown that this woman took. But imagine this. This guy is 6'6" and 270 pounds. He was 17 at the time that this happened. He is now 18, so now they can say his name. His name is Brendan Deppa. You know, he attacked this teacher's aide over a Nintendo Game Boy that she took away from him. He has now filed a stunning lawsuit against the school district, accusing it of failing to make interventions to address his bad behavior, even though he was said to be a ticking time bomb. Brendan Deppa, who is now 18, has filed a lawsuit against Flagler County Public Schools, accusing the district of failing to meet his needs in the lead up to the shocking February 21st incident that was caught on video and went viral. And this is just unbelievable to me. Deppa was 17 when he allegedly... God damn you, Fox News, for putting that there. That is not alleged. He did it. He attacked his teacher's aide, Joan Nadich, at Matanzas High School in Palm Coast. Surveillance video released by the Flagler County Sheriff's Office shows the 6'6", 270-pound student running up to the teacher's aide, pushing her to the ground. He then began to kick her and then got on top of her and was wailing on her head, like a literal ground and pound. The complaint alleges that the school ignored Deppa's need for social and pragmatic language interventions and should have provided him with direct instructions on how to problem solve and express himself. I'm sorry, John. This guy needs to be put away forever and never exposed to the public. He is a danger to the public, John. So, at least in my book.
He is absolutely a danger to the public. He was a danger. They acknowledged him as a danger from what I remember. I think that even when we aired this story previously, his parents had expressed concerns that he was a danger even to them. They could not control him. So I really think that this was a time bomb. When they would describe him that way, he was a ticking time bomb. And it was only a matter of time until this happened. The fact that he's suing the school district, here's the thing. The education world, the education system, we have a constitutional responsibility to educate kids. We do not have a constitutional duty to be babysitters, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that constitutional duty. And so when you trust the school district to be the babysitter and the doctor and the mental facilitator and everything else to your child, and you don't do your job as a parent, which they may have been overwhelmed. I think that they already acknowledged that they were overwhelmed by this child at that time, a child. Now it's a young man. And so, but you can't expect the school district to do a better job than you do. You can expect them to help, I guess, to the degree that they're constitutionally expected to, but otherwise you can't. To sue them is come on. It's somebody trying. It's a lawyer trying to make money, and it's a family trying to bring some kind of, crying for help, which I understand. So shame on this lawyer for pretending that they have a reason to sue, and shame on the nation, our society, for, like you said, for trying to hide what this guy is. You can't call a monster anymore. I'm not calling him a monster because legally I don't want to get in trouble. But you can't call a monster. When you see a monster, you can't say it's a monster anymore. No. Now you have to say it's a mischaracterized, uncharacterized person or entity.
This
right?
poor child.
Yeah, you got steel bars all through your face and marbles under your skin and all kinds. Oh my God, that's a monster. He turned himself into a monster, right?
No.
Or it turned itself into a monster. And you can't even say that because, you're so offensive. He likes to be referred to as Chameleon Man. No. We have to be real about what's going on in our society.
Yeah.
I'm not playing along with this. I know that you're not playing along.
No.
Americans, it's time to not play along with this BS anymore. This kid is a criminal mind, right? He was super aggressive. He beat up his teacher. We saw it on video. We saw it on video. Whether the school didn't do what it was supposed to do, I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know. But certainly to sue the school because you don't know how to behave or you can't control yourself is not a good reason. And
no.
It says a lot about our society that we would ever even entertain it.
Yeah.
But Trump is right now in a court case, for a victimless crime. Come on, it's nonsense. We have to get our country back.
Yeah, absolutely. And this guy, John, 6'6", 270 pounds.
Yeah, this teacher is not a big teacher.
She is a thin, frail woman. And he would have killed her, John. He would have killed her if the other teachers didn't come and pull him off of her.
That's possible.
This guy is a danger to society. He's a danger to the public. He does not need to be among free people. I'm sorry.
Nobody should have his
you
rights
take it
are
that
not
far
more
with
important.
somebody that's harmless.
Or what if it was a child?
Yeah.
What if it was a child? If a child annoyed him to, Sheila, what if a child has impulse control issues, right? So they snatch a thing. He would kill the child. I wouldn't trust him around my kids. No, we can't victimize good people, normal people for the people who are deranged. Yeah. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying in general.
I'll
right?
say he is.
Joe Biden's deranged, right? The whole country's being victimized by
deranged.
that.
Yes, he
right?
is.
The whole country's being victimized by that.
Yeah. It's funny, John. Liberals don't get mad about this situation here. At least I haven't heard them cry out about that. But they're crying out about Kristi Noem killing her farm pup 20 years ago. Now she's out here having to defend killing this farm pup. Because the Democrats got a hold of her book. Read about it, and now they're mad, So there's Kristi Noem.
This is such a...
You know why this is happening, John, and why they're doing this? Is
they're trying to destroy her before she be, so she doesn't
she's
become
rumored to be one of the vice presidential picks for President Trump. So now we have to go after Kristi Noem, and this is something we found. We can't go after her because of something she said or, because she's not a Sarah Palin, not even close. So...
here's the thing. The spawn of McCain... The spawn of McCain. What's her name? Cindy McCain? No, what's her name? That's the wife, I think. The daughter of McCain. The spawn of McCain.
Yeah, the one that's on The View, or she was on The View.
Yeah. She was like, oh, you'll never recover from killing a dog. You know what? Listen, a lot of dogs have been killed. And people much better than Cindy McCain or whatever McCain she is, or even John McCain or any McCain, anybody named McCain, better people than that family have killed dogs before. Let me tell you something. One of the greatest movies of all time that impacted an entire generation, Old Yeller, right? That was about killing a dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, the fact is, this is a woman who is mature and who can make a tough decision. If you have a dog that is aggressive, a dog that's going to bite somebody, and you put it down, I mean, not everybody wants to take their dog to the dog whisperer and create a show out of it. You know, this is a woman in Dakota.
Not everybody has that opportunity.
No, she's in South Dakota of all places. This is where they have buffaloes roaming around. Okay, you know, to have a ranch and you kill an animal, we harvest animals. The animals that you eat tonight suffer a more unenjoyable fate than this dog did. So get over it with your faux, you know, their faux outrage. You're such a bunch of crying wimps. Yeah. And you make the country worse just for being this level of crying wimp that you are. I have no problem with her having killed this dog. Does anybody want to kill a dog? No.
No.
She didn't take pleasure in killing the dog. She didn't hunt the dog. You know, I mean, it was just, you have a dog that was aggressive, and she knew it was a danger for people and uncontrollable. And what is she going to do? Here's what a liberal would do. They take it to the shelter where it gets put down by lethal injection.
Yeah.
Okay?
So it's going down one way or another.
Yeah, don't be morons. You know, I mean, why is it? It's better for a person like this woman to take responsibility for her animal and do it herself than it is to take it to the government so that they can hide behind a closet and do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, except that with tax, now we all have to share the cost of having a building where they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, grow up. Grow up and grow a pair.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right, John. So over in California, you know, it's hard to believe, but crime reform is getting unheard of support from DAs, small businesses, and progressive mayors.
No kidding.
A measure to reform, Prop 47, is set to be on the ballot this November. And
I guess they're tired of being broken into, smashed, stolen, robbed, you know, burglarized, and then people pooping on the street on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's California is a disaster. If we say it every week, California is a disaster. We should have a story every week just about, like, what's a disaster in California this week. I mean, like an entire segment. You could have a show just on all the things that make California a disaster, and half of them are Newsom's hair. So, California should be we should chisel it off somehow and push it into the ocean. It's too far gone.
Wall it off.
Wall it off. Yeah, put a wall, right?
Put a wall. Put up the border wall and make it go along California.
But here's the story. 47 was okay. Let's talk about what 47 is today. Okay, we were talking about this. We spoke. Tom and I spoke about this at length, and this Proposition 47. They needed 550,000 votes to make this amendment to Proposition 47, which toughens Proposition 47. It makes it toughens the laws, the misdemeanor laws. They got 9 million. They got more than 9 million. They got more than 900,000. You know, I would imagine if they were sane people, if there were 9 million sane people in California, they all would have signed it. But they got more than 1 million, or about 1 million signatures. So that's going to go to the ballot. And let's go ahead. You can continue.
Well, yeah, one of the people that supports
I hear California and I go nuts.
One of the people that supports this, if you can believe it or not, is San Francisco Mayor London Breed, who she supports this, which
she needs not to be bred. She needs to not breed.
Absolutely, yeah, I can agree with that. It was started in 2014, this law, Proposition 47, which reclassified several felonies, including retail and property theft, back to misdemeanors. Under Prop 47, petty theft of goods valued under $950 is classified as a misdemeanor, even for multiple offenses. It also took a broad swath of narcotics possession offenses that were previously felonies and converted them to misdemeanors. But a ballot initiative to amend Prop 47 called the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act secured over 900,000 citizen signatures required to put the measure on an official vote in November, far surpassing the roughly 500,000 required to get it on the ballot. Sacramento County District Attorney Thean Ho, who supported the effort, said in an interview with Fox News Digital that some Golden State residents waited hours in line to sign this petition. The DA said that while he is in favor of the spirit behind Prop 47, the law needs to be changed to stem its unintended consequences, which he identified as fentanyl crisis, retail theft crisis, and a homelessness crisis. Ho noted a big box retailer in Sacramento told him that the region ranks #1 in theft for the company, and that one of the stores...
No kidding.
One of their stores in the area saw a 253% increase in theft between 2022 and 2023. And yeah, those are the consequences. When you take major crimes and make them misdemeanors, I mean, yeah, of course.
Well, and these are also repeat offenders, right? So you have people that go in, they steal over and over and over and over again, and they keep getting just dropped out. You know, like you come into the one door, you get arrested. If you get arrested, and then they put you out the other door in less than 24 hours, or you go in, you don't get arrested at all. You know, they'll give you a call, a naughty call. They'll go, don't do that again, okay? Please don't do that. This is your call. This is your phone call, wake-up call. I mean, California is just a joke. It's a giant joke. I mean, I love that we did that reel before where it had DeSantis and Newsom. And
yeah.
I mean, that says everything about California. When a governor can, in a debate, pull out an app that shows that your entire state is full of fecal matter all over the state. I mean, it tells you they're full of fecal matter. How do things get so bad that you have poop all over your streets?
Yeah.
You have people like Gavin Newsom in charge. So,
and I don't think things will ever get better in California until they get rid of him.
Things are not going to get better with Gavin Newsom, and things are not going to get better with the crazy liberal mindset. Hollywood. Really what you do is wall off Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible, man. What a terrible influence.
They are a terrible influence on society.
Terrible influence. Terrible influence.
And I'm glad to see that some actors are figuring that out and getting out of there, like Sylvester Stallone, Mark Wahlberg. You know, good for you guys. Mel Gibson, good for you guys. Get out of there. All right, John, so that's the show. It has been 1 hour and 4 minutes.
1 hour and 4 minutes. I thought we had one more story tonight.
No, that was it.
No, didn't we have one more? Oh, no, we did it earlier.
Yeah.
We added the show at the last minute. Yeah. We added the story at the last minute. Well, on behalf of Citizen Tom Lord and me, School Board Member John Arkwell, we appreciate you being. Please like and share the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you, regulars. We really appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow for Unsanctioned Florida. So watch tomorrow night. Thank you.
Florida show.
See you then.